Carlos King, Dustin Ross, and Claudia Jordan recently sat down to talk about the latest drama surrounding love and marriage, Huntsville. Their conversation was centered on Martell Holt, Marceau Scott, and the fragile friendship between them, but things took an unexpected turn when Dustin suggested something bold. He said the cast should all take live lie detector tests to finally clear the air about who is telling the truth and who is not. This suggestion immediately sparked conversation, not only between Carlos, Dustin, and Claudia but also with fans who watched the discussion play out. Carlos King gave an answer that caught everyone by surprise, and it's something that had many viewers questioning whether he was serious or just trying to deflect. The whole topic came up while they were breaking down a recent scene where Martell and Marceau had a sit-down. The two men wanted to revisit where things went wrong in their friendship and whether they could ever move forward. Both admitted they have thrown jabs at each other, especially about the women in their lives, and that has always caused deeper issues. At first glance, it looked like they had made peace during the scene, but Claudia Jordan wasn't fully convinced. She pointed out that Martell seemed very emotional, almost desperate for approval, while Marceau came across calm and in control. Marceau had a posture of power while Martell was more like someone begging for friendship. This difference in body language didn't go unnoticed. Claudia felt that Marceau had already accepted Martell for who he is, someone who won't change and someone who will always retaliate by attacking family if he feels slighted. She said Marceau knows how to deal with Martell now, and because of that, he doesn't put too much weight into what Martell says. Martell, on the other hand, looked like he was still carrying resentment and wanted Marceau's approval badly. Dustin agreed that Martell cannot help himself when it comes to stirring trouble, and history shows he will always end up back on the opposite side if he feels left out. From there, Dustin dropped what many are calling the best suggestion for the show in a long time. He said the only way to move forward and finally settle the rumors is to put everyone on a lie detector test. He pictured a reunion stage with four corners of a boxing ring, Letitia Scott in one, Marceau in another, Maurice Scott in the third, and Martell in the fourth. Each of them would take a polygraph test to clear up the accusations they've thrown at each other over the years. Dustin even mentioned that it would make fascinating television and would finally answer questions that the fans have been asking since season 1. Now, Carlos King could have just laughed it off or simply said it would never happen. Instead, he gave a detailed response that raised eyebrows. He explained that according to research, for a polygraph test to be accurate, a person must be strapped to the machine for at least 90 minutes. Anything less would not be considered valid. This claim shocked many people because it's not something you usually hear when lie detector tests are discussed. Fans immediately thought back to old talk shows like Maury, Jerry Springer, and Ricky Lake, where lie detector results came out quickly and never once did anyone mention a 90-minute rule. Carlos even pointed to a recent episode of The Real Housewives of Orange County, where cast members took polygraph tests. He said that while it was entertaining, it wasn't done in the most accurate way because multiple women were tested in a short period of time. His point was that the true process takes longer than most reality shows are willing to commit to. He then admitted that while he thought it would make good TV, he doubted that most of his cast would ever agree to it. When Carlos was asked who he thought might actually go through with it, he surprisingly said the only ones he believed would be open to it are Kimmy Scott and Letitia Scott. He didn't think Maurice, Marceau, or Martell would ever agree to being strapped to a polygraph machine on camera. Claudia and Dustin joked about the idea of a whole reality show where the cast wears lie detector straps the entire season, with results shown in real time. Fans loved that concept. Even though it is unlikely to ever happen, the idea of who would pass or fail became a hot talking point. Many wondered what would happen if Kimmy or Letitia were asked the question, "Do you think your husband has ever cheated on you?" Both would likely answer no, but would the machine back them up? That's where things would get messy. Even though Carlos said Kimmy and Letitia might be willing, fans pointed out that Kimmy has given different stories over the years about how she met Maurice. Sometimes it was at a toy party, other times it was at a barbershop, and there was even a third version. With inconsistencies like that, people aren't sure how she would handle being questioned with a polygraph. The conversation didn't stop there. Claudia Jordan then shifted focus to Martell Holt and his recent claim that he is engaged. Viewers were caught off guard when Martell used the word fiancé, because no one had seen or heard about an actual engagement. Claudia was quick to call him out, saying it didn't make sense to call someone a fiancé without a real proposal or ring. Dustin added that Martell only threw that label around because he feels insecure compared to the other men on the show, all of whom are in serious relationships or marriages. Carlos King stepped in to explain that sometimes people just use the word fiancé loosely, as a way of signaling intent without an official engagement. But Dustin and Claudia pushed back hard, saying that word should not be used unless it's backed up by actions. They accused Martell of trying to look better in front of his married castmates and using the title as a way to keep up appearances. Claudia also called him a narcissist and a liar, saying his words and actions don't line up. This tied into another point about Martell's relationship with Ariane Curry. Many believe Martell only said the word fiancé to pacify Ariane, knowing she watches every episode. He likely used it to keep her calm, to stop her from putting him on child support, or from embarrassing him online. Claudia and Dustin agreed that Martell's behavior looked more like desperation than genuine love or commitment. His comment about moving Ariane and her kids into his investment property, but not living with them, also sounded confusing and inconsistent. The group pointed out that Martell often tries to take the moral high ground despite his past actions. They reminded viewers that Martell had a child with Ariane while he was still married, so it doesn't make sense for him to suddenly act like he's living by strict rules. Claudia warned women not to fall for terms like wifey or fiancé unless there's real commitment behind it. She said those words are often used as promises with no intention of following through, and women deserve better. The underlying theme in the discussion was that Martell is insecure being around men who managed to keep their families together while his marriage with Melody Sherry fell apart. That insecurity may drive him to exaggerate or lie about his current relationship. Claudia and Dustin made it clear that they see through his attempts and aren't afraid to call him out. Fans appreciated that honesty, especially because Martell has a reputation for being defensive when confronted. At the end of the conversation, the panel circled back to the original idea of lie detector tests. Claudia and Dustin both felt it would never happen because the cast would not agree, but the suggestion itself had fans talking non-stop. People in the comments debated who would pass, who would fail, and what questions should be asked. Some even said that a reunion with polygraph tests could be the most watched episode of the entire series. Carlos King may not have completely shut the door on the idea, but his unusual response about the 90-minute rule left people skeptical. Whether he was trying to educate or simply dodge the suggestion, it gave viewers something to think about. Fans also noticed that he singled out Kimmy and Letitia as the only ones willing to take the test, which could cause tension during the reunion. In the end, Dustin's bold suggestion showed just how tired people are of the back-and-forth accusations on the show. Fans want answers and accountability, and a lie detector test might be the only way to get them. Even if it never happens, the conversation proved how invested people are in the drama of love and marriage. Huntsville.as for Martell, his engagement claims and attempts at moral high ground are only adding fuel to the fire. Claudia and Dustin didn't hold back their opinions, and many viewers agreed with them. Martell's behavior continues to raise questions, and his relationships, whether with Ariane or his fellow castmates, remain complicated. So now the big questions are, would any of the cast members actually agree to a polygraph test? Would Kimmy and Letitia be brave enough to sit down and answer tough questions about their marriages? And what would the results show about Martell, Marceau, and Maurice? Those answers may never come, but the idea alone has fans buzzing. The discussion between Carlos King, Dustin Ross, and Claudia Jordan reminded everyone why this show continues to be one of the most talked about reality series. With suggestions like lie detector tests, accusations of fake engagements, and constant questions of loyalty, there's no shortage of drama to unpack. Whether or not Carlos ever takes Dustin's idea seriously, it's clear that fans would tune in immediately if it happened.